Hey everybody, my name is Brandon Scott and welcome to the Fandom Pastor, which can be found on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, or podcast. The Fandom Pastor is for all of us who love our fandoms and our faith. Fandoms are anything that somebody has a deep love for. Harry Potter, Broadway musicals, cult films, to name just a few. Join the Fandom Pastor as we see how God is connected to it all. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Hey everybody, we are starting a new series this week, and the clue from last time was this cartoon series originally was released in 1985, although the first season was completed in 1983 and had additional series in 2011, 2020, and this is not counting comic books, video games, and all sorts of other things as well. So the series is called Thundercats, and I know that you can find the original series, the one from '85, which is kind of the one I'm going to be basing this whole talk on because that's the one I grew up with. I know you can find the original series on Hulu and Amazon Prime. So if you don't know the story, Thundercats follows this group of cat-like humanoid aliens from the planet Thundera, and when the planet is kind of falling apart and everything, there's a group of the Thundercats that leave the planet on their spaceships. Now, while flying away, they are attacked by their enemies, the mutants of Plundar, and the particular ship that we kind of follow is damaged, and it's not able to reach its destination. And so they end up on this planet called Third Earth. Now, the Thundercats deal with a lot of different issues and a lot of different little problems. Some, like the mutants, are consistent enemies, and we eventually get Mum Ra, who is also an enemy there, kind of a consistent enemy. But they deal with all sorts of different things. So, I wanted to start talking about who is kind of eventually going to be the leader. He's kind of called the leader already. He's in essence kind of like a prince. He's not the leader yet, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. Now, in the beginning, this prince, he's not, they don't call him the prince, but that's basically kind of what he is. He is a character by the name of Lion-O, and when they're first leaving Thundera, his age is about 12 years old. And during their travels, they are put into kind of this suspended animation. The problem is there's a malfunction, so Lion-O actually grows to adulthood and wakes up as basically a boy in an adult's body. And this got me thinking about 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11, which says, "When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child, and when I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me." So we need to eventually grow up. I think we all know that. We eventually have to grow up. We have to take responsibility of our lives, take responsibility of our faith, and we also need to grow as the church. We have to go to those wiser and seek counsel. We need to learn from others and go to God to find out how we should be who we're called to be. Because it's so important that we grow, that we expand not only our knowledge, but our wisdom, deepen our faith, deepen every part of us. Now, here's a kind of an issue I have with this, because some people look at this verse and they think that we can't enjoy the things we did as a child. In other words, we have to put the ways of childhood behind us. But that isn't true. I still love the old cartoons, the old comic books, and more that I did as a child. But I've also grown in my understanding of them as well. Look at what I'm doing with the Fandom Pastor, looking at the various things I loved as a child and still love, and using them to share the gospel, as well as kind of getting this deeper understanding of my own faith as well. So yes, we need to grow up. We need to mature. We need to be responsible. We need to act in a way that we are called to as adults. But that doesn't mean giving up the things that we loved as a child or giving up our childlike faith, because that's one of the things that God calls us to do, is have childlike faith. So I think it's actually more important, or it's very important, I guess, to have that love of things that we grew up with. We can continue to have these connections, these ways of responding to not only other adults, but to children as well. Because we are to eventually help mentor and direct others ourselves. And I think that's, again, just a really important aspects that we need to think about. So, in the next few weeks, we're going to go through the whole series of Thundercats, and I'll talk about the other Thundercats in each of the following episodes. And this idea of going to those wiser, seeking counsel with those, is going to be kind of a theme throughout this entire series. Because in the first season, Lion-O has to go through some trials in order to earn the right to actually lead the Thundercats, to take on the mantle of leader. And so he has to confront these trials, require him to basically defeat each of the other Thundercats in kind of these different trials. And so it's really important that we think about that as we are growing ourselves. Not that you're going to have to go and face battle with your pastor or the deacons, but rather that as we come across these trials, we grow and we learn and we become more mature. We become even more the people that God has called us to be. So, join me in a couple weeks for our next episode. The clue for next time is this Thundercat is based on the Panther and is the mechanic of the group. Thanks, and God bless.